Hi everyone. This is Sunday, May 11th, Mother's Day. This video was part of a video journal of my recovery from the trauma of watching my little brother Paul Cairns, 64 with Down syndrome, be locked up by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government with David Eby as the leader for 588 days. And then I believe that they did medical assistance in dying on him. They isolated and confined Paul after I complained to the local Burnaby RCMP about what I believe or allege is a fraudulent forged power of attorney they used to appoint my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario as Paul's guardian so they could give him the COVID-19 shot in secret from his then surviving 5 other siblings. So today I went to the Conservative Party of Canada office just to help with some cleanup, some post-election cleanup. I went there, I was was at my wit's end when I discovered, the first thing I saw when I went online this morning was that in the Terrebonne riding of Quebec, there's been a judicial recount, and they flipped another riding over to Liberal. So I did a little bit of research into that riding, and the chief electoral officer was appointed by Justin Trudeau, who requested this judicial recount that resulted in the appointment of a member of parliament on the basis of one vote. And apparently they came up with 74 brand new votes that nobody had ever heard of before during the judicial recount. And the first thing I said when I heard this is I said, I bet the judge is a Liberal appointee. And of course he was. Somebody named Justice Turcotte. So I'm very worried because at this point, the Liberal Party with Mark Carney as leader is 1 seat away from a majority government, which means they could stay in power for 4 years. And I've desperately tried to warn everybody against this Mark Carney. He's the devil you don't know. You know, when you have to choose between the devil you know, which was Pierre Poilievre, and the devil you don't know, which is Mark Carney, you choose the devil you know. He's lived in Canada for the last 10 years. He's a relatively young man with a very young family. He has a 6-year-old autistic daughter. He's fluent bilingual in English and French, but is from Alberta, was raised in Alberta. His father came out as being gay after his parents divorced. So, you know, in many ways, he's a wonderful candidate. And when I knocked on the 600 doors that I knocked on and spoke with innumerable potential voters, so many of them said, well, you know, I was going to vote Conservative, but then they appointed that Mark Carney. You know who appointed Mark Carney? Justin Trudeau, infidel Castro, who has been convicted of ethics violations, who dismissed his Attorney General of Canada when she refused to rubber stamp a criminal complaint against SNC-Lavalin. The reason why you need to change, Mark Twain said it best, governments are like diapers. They both need to be changed regularly and for the same reason. And power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. There have been so many ethical questions about the Liberals and the NDP, and the NDP basically committed harikari by supporting the Liberals in order to thwart the will of Canadian people for a Conservative government this time. We needed a change. I went door knocking with a very sweet lady whose first language was Mandarin. But she repeatedly said to the voters that we talked to, time for a change, time for a change. Mark Carney is an evil man. He sent his daughter to the Tavistock Clinic in London, which is a sex change clinic, when she was an adolescent, and she's posted writings about how she didn't think that she was gender confused enough to be there. And that clinic has, along with every other gender affirming clinic in the United Kingdom, has been shut down cold as showing no therapeutic value at all. But it was the woke thing to do. On the other hand, Pierre Poilievre has a little autistic nonverbal daughter who he champions and has stood by. You just compare those. Mark Carney, I warned you. His nickname was Carnage, and I called him that 5 days before the Vancouver massacre caused by, allegedly, by a 30-year-old man who had been arrested and released by the Vancouver police over 100 times. It's the worst massacre in British Columbia history. And there have been more. Under the Liberals, we had the Nova Scotia massacre, and there was also a massacre on the prairies among Indigenous peoples, and then now we have the Vancouver massacre, all from their soft on crime, crazy, woke, liberal NDP policies. So I'm desperately worried about the fate of Canada. This judge that appointed as MP this woman on the basis of one vote, this Quebec MP, was it should never come down to that. That could be the vote that decides whether Canada becomes the 51st state or not. And if ever there was a Chamberlain lowlife POS, it's Mark Carney, who would capitulate to Trump. It's Mark Carney. Oh yeah, elbows up. No, there's no elbows up. He's a Chamberlain. Chamberlain was the one who met with Hitler before World War II and gave away Czechoslovakia to Hitler. And that's exactly what this Mark Carney will do. He's a useless creep. He's an elitist in his personal life and in his professional life. I'm very worried. I just think you guys have watched everything that I've been through. My little brother with Down syndrome, who's never heard of flea, be locked up by the BC government for 588 days. And do you think I didn't write the Attorney General of Canada over and over and over again? You saw what they did to me, having me declared a vexatious litigant when I tried to visit my brother, taking away all my civil rights. And yet, so many of you voted for these losers because you were stampeded into doing so by Donald Trump throwing a grenade into Canadian politics. Anyways, that's all I have to say for today. I love you all. Take care.